There are an infinite number of reasons why correctional officers in the United States of America specifically are hated. But I chose to break it down and keep it simple. And I came up with the top three best reasons, in my personal opinion, as a correctional officer, why correctional officers are hated in this country. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Not going to waste any time. Reason number one, of course, always escapes. Now, why are escapes the main reason and the most important reason? The first video that I did, was about escapes, keeping inmates in confinement, that being the most important job of a correctional officer or of the prison industry in general, keeping the inmates in confinement. Escapes are the number one reason society hates correctional officers, because when an inmate/criminal escapes, it puts the public in immediate danger. And it can be, deadly, of course. Think it's very dangerous. It gets nationwide embarrassment to whatever city, state, or town that the prison or jail is in. Just think about when those 12 inmates, I think it was 12 inmates that escaped in Louisiana. Just think, that was head news over everything. And when guys or gals escape, they just don't stay in their city, their state, or town. For example, those inmates that escaped out of Louisiana, 2 or 3 of them, I think, ended up in the state of Texas. Now, that's Texas and Louisiana. That's not a hop, jump, and a skip. That's not right around the corner. That's pretty good. They covered some distance getting from the state of Louisiana to the state of Texas, and it's all because they broke out of jail. Now, of course, they had help doing that with the COs, but we'll go more into those type of correctional officers later on, because that is also on my list. But escapes will always be the number one reason that people hate correctional officers, because it's like you have one job. You have really one job, one non-negotiable job. Your main and most important job responsibility as a correctional officer, as a jailer, whatever you want to call it, is to keep inmates in confinement. You keep them within the walls, you keep them behind the walls, however you want to put it, you keep them out and away from society. That will always be the most important job of a correctional officer. The same way that the most important job of a police officer is to catch criminals, apprehend criminals, a correctional officer's job is to keep those criminals that have been in prison. Number two, the second reason that society hates correctional officers: dirty correctional officers. Look, COs are supposed to be held to a higher standard, but you have, unfortunately, I'm going to say a few bad apples, because I call me naive, maybe I am, but I choose to believe that most people that put their uniform on is going to work to do their job to the best of their abilities and not taking any shortcuts. But you do have a few COs who basically are criminals in uniforms. They take shortcuts. They supply the inmates with things they're not supposed to have. They disgrace the uniform through their unprofessional actions. And, of course, this is another separate thing. Prison, it's true in real life, right? But also think about it when you go and watch a movie. Think about a movie, either a prison movie or a movie where the main character goes to prison for whatever. It can be anything. Whenever you see a correctional officer, a CO, they're 99% of the time they're dirty. Whenever you see it's first of all, a correctional officer is never the main character. Think about it. You got movies that's based on law enforcement, SWAT, police detective, CIA, FBI. You got a lot of different stuff. At least I haven't seen a prison movie or a prison TV show that's based around correctional officers. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be way off, but I haven't seen. I've seen prison movies and TVs based around inmates, but I haven't seen it based around COs. And so whenever you do see a correctional officer in a movie or in the TV show, it never helps the public perception of correctional officers, because 9 times out of 10, they're always dirty. They're always passing the inmates something they're not supposed to have, like blades, like cell phones, money, sometimes even, hooking it up to where it's like prostitutes or women going up into, it's like all kind of crazy fabricated stuff, but it's never a positive public look. Whenever you see, next time you see a movie, or if you go back and watch an old movie and you see correctional officers in it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be doing something that they're not supposed to do. And that also in public perception is very big. So whenever you see correctional officers, even if you just see them in the movies and it's like they're doing something, they may be a side character or they may not be as important, but you seen how that inmate got their blade. You seen how that inmate was able to put a hit out on somebody on the outside or contact the victim's family. That all happened because of a dirty correctional officer. You see correctional officers beat up the inmate because they got paid. You see that. So that kind of shapes your view towards correctional officers, whether you like it or not. The same way that back in the day, the public's view of police officers was shaped by, like in the 80s or whatever, was shaped by when NWA came out with F the police. You constantly see, when you see dirty cops and, you hear it in the music, it's all programming. So you're programmed to think that most, if not all, COs are dirty. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. But that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, the society hates correctional officers. It's simple. The job duty. What's your responsibility? We already discussed the number 1 responsibility of a correctional officer is to keep inmates in prison or in jail in confinement, to prevent escape. That's the most important. But the job duty in itself, think about it, is to keep inmates in confinement, keep inmates imprisoned. Those inmates have family. Those inmates have loved ones, people in society. And we, as correctional officers, look at it as, we're keeping this inmate, this criminal, this person who has committed a crime against society. We're keeping them behind the walls. We're keeping them in prison, to keep society safe, because, you have to pay your debt to society. So, it's time for you to pay your debt, so you have to be in prison. That's how we look at it. That's how other law enforcement people look at it. We're keeping you in confinement. You're paying your debt to society. You made the choice to commit a crime, so now you have to do the time. You do the crime, you do the time. That's the whole. I'm sure you heard that before. Their family and relatives don't look at it like that. The way I just explained it and broke it down to you is from a logical. You reap what you sow. You can even say biblical standpoint. You do wrong, you get wrong. You hurt people, you get hurt. You hurt people's family, your family get hurt. You write a check, you can't cash, that's on you. It's simple, it's logical. Inmates, families don't look at it like that. They look at it as like, oh, you're keeping my baby caged. Oh, my baby's being mistreated. Oh, my baby doesn't have access to this, that, and the third. Well, it's like, look, of course they don't have access to all the stuff that you would like them to, like in the what we call the free world in society. Of course they don't. They're in prison. They're not supposed to have access to cell phones. They're not supposed to have access to PlayStations and stuff. Even though a lot of them do these days, they're not supposed to have access. Easy access to internet. They're not supposed to have access to women. They're not supposed to have access to great tasting food. This is all the stuff that I was told as a child. This is all the stuff that scared me, that made me not want to go into prison as a child. That's not always the case. I guess that'll be a story for another time when I decide to tell it about how the prison industry is now. From what I've seen, I think it's a little bit more, I would say, soft. It's more catered to the inmates, making sure that they're more comfortable. And that's why a lot of these guys, they commit crime as soon as they get back out on the street and go back in, because they never learn how to take accountability. They're comfortable in confinement. So maybe that'll be another video. But yeah, that's, those are the three reasons. The last one is the job, just the simple job duty of what we do, just keeping their baby locked up and allegedly mistreating them, allegedly targeting them. Even though when these guys call their families to complain on us, or to complain on the unit, or to complain on the warden, they never tell what they did to get whatever treatment that they got. So if they get thrown in solitary confinement, or they get thrown in a secluded type of area, or they get punished, or they get put on some type of restriction, it's never their fault. It's always we're doing it to them. And their family co-signs that nonsense, and 9 times out of 10, you're able to see that the apple don't fall too far from the tree. It's like, man, no wonder this kid is in prison especially at such a young age, and he never learned how to take accountability. He never learned any responsibility. So him coming to prison, or her going to prison, is the first time that they ever learn responsibility in their lives. So they literally get on their phone, or if they have a tablet, they get on it and they cry to their moms about how they're being treated in prison. I'm not saying you're supposed to be mistreated in prison, but prison isn't supposed to be the Hilton Hotel for you either, if you catch my drift. But that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate y'all for taking the time to listen. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and you comment what your thoughts are about my 3 main reasons society hates correctional officers. Reason number 1, escapes. Reason number 2, dirty correctional officers. And reason number 3, just the job duty in itself of what we're supposed to do in keeping them in confinement. A lot of people view that as them being treated as animals. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you share. It's another episode of Institutionalized, Corrections Exposed. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you. See you in the next one. There are an infinite number of reasons why correctional officers